And this is One for the Road on January 31st, 2025, with C2, that's me, and Mr. K.
That's me.
We are going to discuss today all things AI that have happened in the first month of this year since Mr. Trump has taken office. There has been tons and tons of stuff that has gone on, including his announcement that he will be funding a project called Stargate, which seems a little bit opposed to what he is doing in most cases, which is shrinking the government. Somehow he announces that he is going to provide government support for a project called Stargate with computer veteran Larry Ellison and AI newbie Sam Altman. Midweek this week, we had the Chinese company called DeepSeek show their model, which took the wind out of the sails of the Nasdaq and the S&P by a substantial amount, with companies like formidable companies like NVIDIA being down as much as 16%. Which was a short-lived and a substantial recovery, since NVIDIA is a hardware manufacturer and has formidable products in the pipeline. However, an article came out today concerning NVIDIA actually laying off some developers, so we will get into that. Also, some fringe information about Mike Adams, the owner of Brighteon.com and naturalnews.com. He has developed an AI model called Enoch. And he has discussed releasing Enoch as open source in March, and also his experiments with DeepSeek R1. So lots of information there to be had, and just general thoughts on AI having substantial computer experience between the two of us. We will give some basic perspective on what we believe is really going on and what is not going on. Anyway, it's a great Friday night. We can jump into, I think one of the first things that came out was, in fact, that Donald announced that he was going to launch this product called, or launch some funding for a product called Stargate, or a program or an initiative. We're still not sure exactly what it is. And I think that kind of was shocking, that he took up with the likes of Larry Ellison and Sam Altman, having garnered so much support from Mr. Elon Musk. So I think even Elon was taken back and shocked that those two somehow arrived on the scene.
Yes. It's quite interesting that, like you said, this is a $500 billion initiative. All of his moves, Trump's moves prior to this, are penny pinching, and I'm going to offer all the federal employees buyouts. I want them out of here. But I found $500 billion for Sam Altman, almost the sworn enemy of Elon.
Yeah, John, that seems so odd that after he got so much support from Elon,
Elon funded the campaign.
Right. And
a good chunk of it.
Right. And where was Sam Altman, who I believe has not been very supportive of Mr. Trump in the past. So how did he come out of nowhere, and then
Right.
Larry Ellison sails in on his yacht,
Right.
and
Right. I mean,
um, after who knows where Oracle has been for the last few years, other than producing databases.
right.
Um, Although I do know that they had a cloud offering that was strikingly similar to the Azure space.
Right. Right.
Having hired, I believe, the Azure architect to architect that space. Um, and it's ironic, how does AI play into that cloud space based on some of the stuff that NVIDIA has announced, which is their super high performance Jetson Nano platform, and a number of software related accelerator type platforms that will allow AI to run in your own data center very
Right.
cheaply and quite efficiently. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
found that pretty interesting.
Yes.
So I thought, I don't know what you thought of DeepSeek. I really wish that I would have bought calls on NVIDIA when they were
Oh
down
yeah.
16%
Yeah.
on the open and
I
14 or
mean,
15% on the open.
I thought it was panic over emotion. I mean, it just seemed weird. It's just it's all panic because of emotion. It lasted 24 hours. I mean, as you said earlier in the up top, Nvidia went down 16, 17% that day. The next day they're up 8. I
Right,
mean,
right.
everybody went up the day after. So, I
And it
mean,
seemed like maybe it was a buying
oh
opportunity
yeah, I
for
bought.
large hedge funds
Oh
and
yes.
large stock funds, where they spooked everybody, and then were able to pick up some premier Mag 7 stocks on the extreme cheap, because
Yeah, what was really interesting, sorry, let me just jump in, is, the Mag 7, most of them took a hit. I'll tell you one stock that didn't was Meta. And Meta the next day reported earnings that crushed. So for some reason, Meta has been escaping this. Good for them, good for people who are shareholders of Meta.
yeah, and
Uh,
isn't that ironic that they crushed earnings, and that the smart money knew not to sell Meta
right,
in
right. It is
collapse?
interesting.
So very, very interesting. Is it AI trading their portfolios, or is it two guys on a telephone in the back room discussing what the earnings are going to be looking like?
Right, right. The
We
other thing
may
that
never know.
The other thing that's really interesting, of course, like I said, most of the Mag 7 took a hit except Meta, but there were other companies that took hits that aren't in tech.
Right.
So it really smelled like some hedge fund guys were just,
Pulling the
let's
pulling the
let's drive
rug
some
out, because
prices down.
yeah, and I mean, the driver of this being the Chinese AI DeepSeek. You didn't know that this product existed, but the day before that this happened, you didn't realize that they were going to make some announcements, which were, it turned out, not revolutionary. Some people claim that it was that technology was smoking because it can run on a older based set of processors. Um,
NVIDIA processors. So that's the
well,
other thing that's
so that
wild.
that ends up coming out, is that, say it isn't so, and the bottom line is it isn't so. of the, it turns out that they were apparently, or there's some articles that they were using some shell companies to actually acquire NVIDIA hardware and run these things. So much for, my 286 processor and my Chinese washing machine running my AI call center. And, so you look at that aspect of things and say that one little piece of news spooks the entire market. And guess what? Then all these hedge funds come in, and apparently a day later, they're not spooked.
Right, right. So the wild thing for me was DeepSeek comes out and is like, we it's better than OpenAI at 1/100th the cost. Okay, that was the big thing, and it's super fast. All right, whatever. When all that news came out, I said to myself, what chips are running DeepSeek? And I'll be surprised if it isn't NVIDIA. And lo and behold, it's NVIDIA. So what was so wild was DeepSeek comes out, and I'm like, they're running NVIDIA. Why is NVIDIA taking this hit? Well,
Right.
the hit was only one day.
Yeah, exactly. Because either people came to their senses or it was purposeful. I being the conspiracy guy that I am, lean towards the purposeful side of the house. But, it is quite possible that they got spooked and sold some stuff off.
But I'll tell you, this had to have happened. People bought that dip. You could have sold the next day. Nice 8% profit.
Yeah, exactly. What were calls worth on NVIDIA if you'd have bought calls that
Right.
were 6% higher? They were probably dirt cheap. I don't know. I didn't look, but I should have looked. So
Yeah, I
you
should have
look at
looked
that
too.
aspect, and you probably could have made a small fortune in literally the one day. So
Right. And
buying,
again,
buying
I mean, it was a perfect buying opportunity.
yeah.
It was all emotion. I mean, NVIDIA's going to, the next day, Meta crushes their numbers.
Right,
Microsoft
yeah,
crushes 80% of their numbers. They miss on Azure a little.
right, exactly. And so, who would be the benefit of you missing on your cloud offering, i.e., Azure or AWS or GCP or whatever it is, Oracle's cloud offering? Who would be potentially the beneficiary of that? Oh, NVIDIA, because I have
Right,
this whipping platform that I'm about to actually ship
right,
that is going to turn my own data center into a much cheaper and more efficient and faster option than the
right.
cloud. So you look at that aspect and say, very strange that NVIDIA got hammered like that.
Yeah, it was
And,
strange.
and
They were a bit down today. I mean, long term, I'm not worried. I mean,
yeah, well,
who is NVIDIA's competition? Intel and AMD. Oh, okay.
if I was them, I would be running scared based on some of the stuff that the new NVIDIA platform is claiming. Now we will see,
Right.
I believe, in May as
Yes.
to where does the rubber hit the road here. But the bottom line is that it looks like a pretty whipping little platform at a dirt cheap price. So
Yeah.
I'd say God help all these CIOs who actually inked these big cloud contracts if the NVIDIA platform is all that in a bag of chips. Because
Yeah. I
now
mean,
I'm stuck with this contract, and essentially I could have just put a bunch of cheaper, faster hardware in my own data center.
right. You shouldn't be worried about NVIDIA, especially long term. And I mean, they have no competition. Intel and AMD are their only competitors.
Yeah.
And their chips are the de facto standard if you want to run AI.
And ironically enough, the article that we that we passed around concerning them firing developers for actually writing their software platform to be 6 times more efficient.
Right.
So
Right.
only a CFO would realize that oh crap, that advancement in software development and technology just cost me 6x collapse in revenue over the next couple of quarters.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
um,
I mean,
thanks,
NVIDIA's
great
enemy
work,
could be
guys. You're fired.
themselves. Right. Right. And you think about it. I mean, NVIDIA's maybe only enemy is themselves.
Right, right, right. Well, and I'm not saying it's their enemy. I'm saying that I don't know the full inside scoop on that. That was pretty cursory article from the top there. But
Yeah.
you look at that and say that I if this is true, I can't believe you fired somebody that is cementing your long term
Yes.
uh, dominance in the
Right.
market
Right.
because they wrote something so efficient
Right.
that they cost you short term quarterly revenue. And
Right.
so
Right.
I find that hard to believe. I mean, that's kind of the way the article portrayed it, but I find it kind of hard to believe that you would be that short sighted and that shallow as to how
Yeah,
you in your
you make
company.
a good point in that long term. I mean, you've seen the evolution. We've been in the industry for decades now, and we've seen the evolution of the CPU and the GPU. You can't get too fast. And that was the thing. They
Right,
were bragging that this is too fast. There's going to be a model or a case study where it's going to need that power to be leveraged.
right, right. And so I build this super data center, and then I build faster and faster software on this thing. That's great. That's fabulous. I can remember back in the Sun Microsystem days. The bottom line is that was whipping hardware, and people bought tons of it.
Right,
So I
right,
wouldn't be, that concerned that people are not going to buy tons of this hardware because you have faster hardware and a faster core software architecture running this thing. Although I did read some stuff and I thought it was quite amusing. um, that what is the NVIDIA CUDA, their little software accelerator model, I think is written in C++, and
mm,
their core OS that they're going to ship on their Jetson Nano stuff is based on Ubuntu Linux. So let me get this
mm.
straight. You are using the Kerrigan Ritchie model from 1968
69.
at
Yeah, 68.
AT&T to dominate the market as a flavor of Unix and C. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
called Jetpack, so that really
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right, right.
adheres
Exactly.
to the Jetson motif they're trying to set.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
And
I
that
mean,
the
that's cool. I think it's funny. It's
right,
hilarious. Hey, I like Hanna Barbera.
right, me too. Yes. I mean, if you think about it, just really quickly to get off topic a little bit, I mean, the Jetsons was way ahead of its time, and some of the things have come true with it.
Yeah, yeah.
I
No,
mean,
it's
this what we're
true.
doing now
We are
was
still
was
waiting
in the
for
Jetsons.
Elon's flying car, but
Right, right. And jetpacks. Yeah. We're not with jetpacks. We're not flying around in jetpacks. And even Aldous
exactly.
Huxley was talking about we'd be in jetpacks and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, they have them. They're not quite as easy to operate, as user friendly to operate as one might have thought.
Right. But it just quickly, it is amazing. Kerrigan and Ritchie, and I'm sure other people were involved, but I've heard not too many other people in the invention of Unix in '68. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, I show some interns like I taught this intern what a pipe was. I was like, you're right, one
Yeah.
command pipe. That's the input or parameter to the next command. And was like, holy crap. I was like, yeah, dudes in 68 invented this.
Exactly, and nobody has come up with stuff that is as user friendly to use and as efficient as that. So
Right. Right.
why would I even do something different than that? But not to get too far down the tech model here. I generally look at everything that is AI and kind of bring it back up to more general discussion level of you know the whole market is built. The whole market in the last 6 months has been driven by AI, just like it was cloud.
Right. Right. I mean,
And
go ahead.
what really is this? What okay, it's a neural network. Those have been around for
Oh, God.
many
Decades.
decades. You've made this better. It does some nifty stuff and has some cognitive abilities, but I don't really think it is. It's any more than that. Any more than
Right.
if I want to simplify it, and this is a substantial oversimplification, is it's an advanced search engine with some concatenation ability of stuff that it is the data that it's been trained on and some basic cognitive ability to do that concatenation and determine that this is a you know coherent holistic answer or
Right.
something of that nature. But other than that, how is this thing, because you can say, okay, the AI flies my drone. Okay, guess what? A gyroscope's been around for an awful long
Right.
time, man. So you have some chips that now can make that judgment on information that's coming in from that gyroscope, but and make some determinations out of the model that's been trained on, but it's basically quite quickly querying the data that it believes to be true, that it knows about, and
Right.
making a choice. That's what a search engine does. It
Right. Right.
queries the data it believes to be true and returns what it thinks is the closest answer by ranking. Now the math behind the AI stuff is substantially more sophisticated these days,
Yeah.
but realistically, I'm not seeing that this thing is taking over the world.
Not
Um,
currently. That's for damn sure. I when I use AI, it's always like when I use Word or Mail, and even I would say even my phone, it's always like trying to predict the next word I'm going to think of and like show it to me so I can just click on it and not type. It's showing me grammatical mistakes and stuff like that. And again, I think this is AI at the basic level and was one of their quick wins. Then came the chat bots. Okay, let's ask it questions. But let's look at chat boxes. They're going against a database of frequently asked questions to get the answers for you. To your
right, yeah,
point,
yeah. That's
it's got a cool name and it does cool stuff. If you look under the cover, it's a search engine, kind of.
right. No, exactly,
So
exactly.
yeah,
So, and that's why I say if I use what is it, GitHub's code assist piece, it will provide code back based on the details that I provide to it. But okay, from the largest code repository in the world,
right,
GitHub. So, okay, it did a scan of a bunch of classes and potentially concatenated this data. Either carte blanche returned something that it had on file, or it concatenated a couple of files together and returned that information.
so you'll love this because you're a programmer. So there's Copilot, GitHub Copilot, and you can go into DeepSeek or OpenAI and say, write me a program that will do X. And it'll give you code. And then, okay, write me the program that will do this in Python. And it'll give you code. And everybody's like, oh my God, this is going to replace programmers. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
Number one, if I did this today, I was like, write me a program that will go out to Azure Cli and grab me all of the Microsoft Defender for Cloud security recommendations. It spit it out code. Didn't work. It didn't work.
Yeah.
I copied and pasted it. It didn't work.
Right.
You still have to go through and debug and go, oh, well, they were on the right path here. Let me just break this up and try this again, and voila.
Right.
That's exactly where we're at today with AI.
Now,
we're decades away from robots and all sorts of stuff.
And from that aspect, I look at it, nobody's done something huge that I have read about. Now, I'm not saying that people are not doing potentially some great stuff, but, cursory that I have read about, to take manufacturing and put AI into this manufacturing space and do something better than I had this electronic eye that for the last 20 years that saw that you put the cap on the bottle, that the robotic arm put the cap on the bottle, and and that every bottle has a cap on it. And so they've been doing that for 20 some odd, 30 some odd years. How is your AI any better than what that was doing to determine this simple task of is the cap on the bottle? Did every bottle that come by have a cap on it?
Right.
And, it's like, so I look at that and say, wow, what do you hope to get out of this? I'm sure as it becomes more advanced, maybe it can control your entire line and give you a more holistic view of what's going on there. But for right now, all I really care about is, did you put the cap on the bottle?
Right. And again, with me, it's like today it's an assistant. And even Microsoft is just like, we're just an assistant. Copilot is going to be your assistant. Now, I love it that they're just throwing it at anybody with a PC is going to have Copilot. I mean, they've done that dance before with the Internet Explorer. Remember Internet Explorer?
Right, exactly.
Ooh, we're going to take over the browser market. We'll just throw Internet Explorer with every PC. It'll become the number one browser. It didn't work out. And they're going down the same road a bit with Copilot. But Microsoft has always couched that AI today is your assistant. And I like that. And that's all it is.
Right.
And like I said, in some cases it's wrong.
I have never
spin me out a program and I run it and
back
barf.
From that worked right out of the box, mainly because of environmental issues and stuff of that nature. Now it does tell you to install libraries and stuff like that it actually needs, but from an environmental perspective, it can't cover all those bases. Now, in the near future, it probably can. We'll be able to cover to judge what environment that you plan to deploy this to, and incorporate that and be better. I'm not saying it can't do it, but realistically, it was when the hacking on the framework of the code has not been that difficult or that bad to do. I'd rather actually do it myself anyway. So I get the basic framework. You build the basic framework for me, the best code example based on the detailed description that I give you, and then I'll take it from here.
I mean, that's the key too.
I don't really need you to do everything. So
Yeah, when AI first came out, they were all about this prompt, and you could tell right away if you're going to be really vague with your prompts, the quality of your answers are going to be substandard.
Right, right,
So it's all about the quality of your prompts. To your point, the more descriptive you are, the better results you're going to get. But
right.
yeah, we're a ways away. It's an assistant. I mean, I loved it when I went to an AI webinar the other day, and somebody was like, in the 80s when Excel came out, they were like, it's going to replace all the accountants. There's more accountants today than ever before.
Yeah,
Did Excel
right.
replace all the accountants? No. Is AI going to replace people? Maybe in areas, but I don't think
Yeah,
significantly. And we're decades away from anything. What's so funny is when me and you were kids, our the way we got exposed to AI was through science fiction movies. There's
right,
HAL, there's Colossus the Forbin Project, where computers were controlling like spaceships and the nuclear arsenals and stuff
right,
like that. And then there's Ex Machina and other movies like that, where it's like an AI, the movie, where you can't tell the humans from the robots.
right,
I mean,
right.
we're not even, we're not there. This,
Yeah,
this stuff people dreamed of in the 70s, and even in AI, I think, came out in 2000.
right. And how much smoke is that? And I think that takes us back up to the higher level of this discussion, which how much smoke is this generated by Wall Street firms who want to push the market around
Right.
in
I mean,
generations when you talk about OpenAI or DeepSeek or any of this type stuff, or even Mike Adams Enoch or any of these other models that they have used. This improves efficiency, so people may be more efficient, but you need to really know what to ask this,
right.
because it is me and you both look at it as like the greatest search engine in the world,
Right.
and
I do think it's a game changer. I think there's been game changers, and we've seen it throughout our decades working in IT, the internet, cloud. This is the next game changer. I believe that.
yeah,
But in all of those things, a lot of times, and this is definitely uh, adheres to in sports, the hype's a lot more than the actuality. You can hype up they hype up the Super Bowl for 2 weeks. Sometimes those games are terrible.
right, exactly,
So there's a lot of hype. And when something new like this comes out that's revolutionary, there's going to be a lot of hype. But what we're trying to say in this podcast right now is right now, underneath the hype, not a lot going on.
right. No, no, exactly. Well, there is a lot going on.
A
Billions
lot of
and
money.
billions of
Yes, there's a lot
dollars
of
are
money going
changing
on.
hands on the
Yes,
stock
that's for
market.
sure. But any IT company, you got
Other
to have
than
AI
that,
in your
we're
marketing.
unclear what's going on.
I mean, your son might say this too. Any IT company, you got to put it. I mean, when a technology like this, and we saw this with cloud, gets hot, you got to put it in your marketing.
Right. Yeah.
You got to mention AI.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You better have something to do with AI because everybody else does and all our competitors do.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. And I think they try to make it look like it has some super advanced cognitive ability, and based on what I have seen at this point in time, that is not true.
Right.
Yeah.
Currently
It
not
looks
true. Would agree.
currently it is not true. It looks like a
Will it
advanced
evolve? Probably. How long?
vector math based solution that does some pretty nifty search related activities, where it equates alike and opposite information based on a 3D plane of space where it's
Right.
storing this information. I have seen some stuff like that, and that is pretty darn cool. And
Right.
having a like for like 3D based stuff, 3D printing and stuff of that nature. I did think that that was pretty neat, and pretty darn advanced. But when it comes down to it, they've had neural networks at least since the 90s.
Right. Right.
So, okay, this is a super advanced neural network. That great, but it's not altering the world at this point in time. Well, I think we're about ready to wrap this one up.
All
Yeah.
right. Good
John,
deal.
great
It was a hell of
discussion
a
as
talk.
always, and hopefully
Yes.
we will be back to have another fun-filled
Oh, yes.
discussion on technology, politics, the stock
Yep.
market, and
Yep.
whatever else comes to mind at the time.
Yep.
Thanks everybody for joining.
Yes. Thank you.
Have a great night.